Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep on imagination.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
using excerpts from The Power of Your Imagination
Okay.
and really kind of going through all the ways that imagination impacts things.
Mm-hmm.
Not just our own personal lives, but like the entire course of history and like big things.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at how it shapes like reality itself.
And it even helped us evolve.
It's wild.
I know. To kick things off, I think the book actually does a really great job.
Yeah.
Immediately challenging our assumptions about what we even think imagination is.
Oh, totally.
Because we kind of relegate it to childhood.
Right.
So we think of it as this frivolous thing.
Yeah.
This book is saying no, it's like a core part of being human.
Right.
It's a powerful tool for problem solving and innovation.
Exactly. It's not just about picturing fantastical creatures.
Right.
Although the book does use that really fun example
Yes.
of a blue elephant with butterfly wings flying through candy floss skies.
I love that example.
Me too. But it's not really about the creature itself. It's about what that image represents.
Yeah.
It's that sandbox mode of thinking where our brains can break free from the constraints of just the normal world.
Absolutely. It's like a mental laboratory where we can experiment and
Yes.
and test out different scenarios
Yeah.
and come up with solutions that would never occur to us if we were just thinking about the real world.
Totally. Okay, so we've kind of established imagination is more than just whimsical thinking.
Right.
It's a practical tool.
Yeah.
How does that translate to real world impact?
Well, think about it this way. Knowledge is limited
Okay.
to what we already know,
Mm-hmm.
but imagination
Uh-huh.
is boundless.
Okay.
It lets us think about what could be
Yeah.
and possibilities that haven't even been discovered yet. And the book uses Einstein as a prime example of this.
Yeah, of course. Imagination is more important than knowledge.
Yes.
That quote really captures the idea, but how did he actually put that into practice? It's not like he was just sitting around daydreaming.
Right, but he did engage in these thought experiments.
Okay.
And one of the most famous ones is when he was imagining writing on a beam of light.
Whoa.
It sounds like a silly daydream,
Yeah.
but it led him to some really groundbreaking insights about space and time,
Ah.
which ultimately led to the theory of relativity.
Wow. Okay, so riding a beam of light, not just a fun image,
Right.
but a catalyst for a scientific revolution.
Totally.
I mean, that really shows you how even the most outlandish ideas can have a huge impact.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be a genius like Einstein
Yeah.
to use your imagination.
Right.
I mean, we're using it every day
Yeah.
in little ways, just planning how to get to work
Yeah.
or what we want to cook for dinner.
Totally. I'm starting to realize how much I take my own imagination for granted.
Yeah.
It's like this superpower that I don't even realize I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's happening all the time, how does that actually work in the brain? Does
Yeah.
the book talk about that?
It does. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
There's not just one imagination center in the brain.
Right.
It's a whole network of regions
Okay.
that work together
Uh-huh.
to make these mental simulations. And that includes the prefrontal cortex, which does planning and decision making,
Right, yeah.
the hippocampus, which is memory, and our sensory areas,
Oh, wow.
which let us make these really vivid images.
So it's like an entire team of brain regions all working together to orchestrate this
yes,
symphony of imagination.
it's amazing.
It makes you wonder, could we train our brains to be more imaginative?
Ooh, that's a great question. And researchers are looking into that.
Yeah.
But one thing that really struck me from this section was how our brains actually blur the lines between imagined and real experiences.
Oh, interesting.
They have this example that I think a lot of people can relate to.
Oh, okay, I love a good example.
So imagine biting into a lemon. You might pucker up and your mouth might start watering even though you're not actually tasting anything.
Oh, yeah.
That's because your brain is reacting to that imagined scenario,
Yeah.
almost like it's real. The same neural pathways are firing.
Wow.
So it's creating a physical response.
So it's not just happening in our heads, our bodies are getting in on the action, too.
Yeah.
That's wild. All right, but backing up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Evolutionarily speaking, why do we even have this capacity for imagination?
Right.
It seems like a lot of brain power
Yeah.
dedicated to something that's just daydreaming.
This is where it gets even more fascinating.
Okay.
The book argues that imagination actually gave our ancestors
Yeah.
a big survival advantage.
Okay.
Think about early humans.
Okay.
who had to hunt for food,
Yeah.
avoid predators.
Right.
They had to be able to mentally simulate different situations.
Right.
Like, what if I take this path instead of that one?
Uh-huh.
What if I run into a saber-toothed tiger?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So this ability to predict outcomes and dangers and plan ahead was crucial for them.
Right, so they wouldn't just get eaten.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So it really was a matter of life or death.
Wow.
And that ability to simulate and imagine
Yeah,
really helped them survive.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So from escaping predators to, like, inventing the wheel, it seems like imagination has really been driving human progress since, like, the very beginning.
Totally.
It's pretty amazing to think about, going from, like, escaping predators to inventing the wheel.
Right.
Seems like imagination has been driving us forward from the very beginning, but,
Yeah.
we can simulate the past, the present.
Right.
What about the future?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Can we use our imagination to help us there, too?
Absolutely. The book talks about how imagination is like
Okay.
this mental time machine.
Okay.
Not only can we revisit past memories, but we can project ourselves into the future.
Right.
And that future casting ability
Mm-hmm.
is super important for setting goals and making plans
Yeah.
and even coping with anxieties.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
I think about how much time I spend worrying about things that might happen.
Right.
It's almost like my imagination is going crazy with worst-case scenarios.
Yeah.
But didn't the book also mention something about using this time travel ability for healing?
Yes.
Okay.
That is a really fascinating aspect.
Yeah.
We often replay past events in our minds, sometimes reliving painful experiences.
Right.
But the book suggests we can use our imagination
Okay.
to reframe those memories,
Okay.
even rewrite them to promote healing.
So instead of getting stuck in, like, a negative loop,
Yeah,
we can use imagination to
Right.
create a more positive narrative.
exactly. And give yourself a mental do-over.
I like that a lot, but how does that actually work?
Well, the book talks about techniques like guided imagery,
Okay.
where you intentionally visualize
Yeah.
calm and safe environments.
Okay.
Psychologists use this a lot
Mm.
with patients struggling with anxiety or trauma or depression.
Right.
By creating these mental havens,
Yeah.
it can actually trick their brains
Yeah.
into feeling more relaxed and safe.
That's pretty powerful.
It does.
It's like we have this built-in self-soothing mechanism. Okay, but this also makes me wonder if imagination can be so helpful
Yeah,
for our mental health, can it also be harmful?
that's a great point.
We've all had those late-night anxiety spirals
Right.
where you're just lying in bed
Oh, yeah.
and your imagination just runs wild
Totally.
with all the things that could go wrong.
Absolutely. And the book acknowledges that.
Okay.
Like any powerful tool,
Uh-huh.
imagination has this dual nature.
Okay.
It can be a source of creativity and innovation and healing,
Right.
but it can also fuel anxieties and fears.
Yeah, like those worst-case scenarios we talked about.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword.
Totally.
It can help us reach our full potential,
Yeah.
but it can also hold us back.
Okay, so it's like having a superpower that we need to learn to control.
Yes.
But how do we do that?
Right.
How do we make sure imagination is working for us, not against us?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
The book has a few strategies,
Okay.
one of which is being mindful of the content we consume.
Oh, okay.
If we're constantly feeding our minds negative news,
Uh-huh.
violent movies, anxiety-inducing social media,
Yeah.
our imaginations will probably go towards those darker themes.
It's like garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
Okay, but what about something more proactive? Can we train our imagination
Yes.
to be more positive and productive?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One technique is visualization.
Okay.
Have you ever visualized yourself succeeding?
Oh, yeah.
Like before a big presentation or a competition?
Yes.
You're giving yourself a mental rehearsal,
Right.
letting your brain practice the scenario and build confidence.
I do that all the time, especially before job interviews.
Oh, yeah.
I picture myself answering questions confidently, making eye contact, really connecting with the interviewers.
It's a great technique.
It definitely helps calm my nerves,
Yeah.
but does it actually make a difference in the real world?
There's actually a lot of scientific evidence for the power of visualization.
Oh, really?
Studies have shown that athletes
Yeah.
who mentally rehearse
Okay.
actually improve their skills,
Wow.
and musicians who mentally practice their instruments
Uh-huh.
activate the same brain regions
Okay.
as when they're physically playing.
So it's like almost the same.
Yeah. And that leads to real improvement.
It's like our minds can shape our reality. It's incredible.
It is.
Like we have this power to create the outcomes that we want. But if imagination is so important for
Yep.
personal growth, what about its role in society as a whole?
Well, think about all the amazing innovations throughout history.
Okay.
From the printing press to the internet.
Yeah.
All of these breakthroughs started with a spark of imagination, a vision of something new.
Like someone had to imagine a world where information could be shared instantly across the world for the internet to become a reality.
Exactly. And even like seemingly simple inventions, like the light bulb.
Yeah.
Someone had to imagine a world without darkness.
Right.
Thomas Edison didn't just stumble on the light bulb.
Yeah.
He envisioned a brighter future and then made it happen.
Okay. But can't imagination also be used for bad things?
Oh.
Like, didn't someone have to imagine weapons of mass destruction before they could build them?
You're right.
Yeah.
The book is very careful to say that imagination isn't inherently good or bad.
Okay.
That's a tool. And how it's used depends on us.
Right.
Like a hammer can be used to build a house or break a window.
Right.
Imagination can be used to create or to destroy.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
So it's not about like suppressing imagination, it's about using it wisely. But how do we even start to do that on like a collective level?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
The book argues that things like critical thinking and encouraging empathy, promoting open dialogue, those are essential to make sure our collective imagination is channeled towards good things.
With all the potential pitfalls,
Yeah.
are there any areas we should be like extra cautious about?
One that comes to mind is artificial intelligence.
AI.
Yeah, it's fascinating to think about
Yeah.
that what started as this concept in sci-fi is now becoming real.
Totally.
But as AI gets more sophisticated, we need to be really careful about what we program into it.
Right. We've all seen those movies where AI becomes self-aware and decides humans are the problem.
Exactly. And that's imagination gone wrong.
Yeah, that's not a good one.
No.
We want to avoid that.
Yes. And it shows how important ethical considerations are.
Yeah.
In AI development, we need to make sure that our imagination, when it's applied to this technology, is guided by values of compassion and sustainability and the well-being of all of us.
So with AI, it seems like we're almost like moving into science fiction territory.
Right.
But then again, so many things that USCD to be science fiction are just like our normal lives now.
It's true.
It makes you wonder, where LSE could our imaginations take us?
Yeah.
Does the book talk about the future of human potential at all?
It does.
Okay.
And it gets really mind-bending in this last section.
Okay.
It asks us to consider
if
imagination could actually go beyond our current understanding of reality.
Oh.
Could we imagine ourselves into totally new forms of existence?
Okay, that is a big question. I'm not even sure I know where to start with that.
Right.
Like, what kind of new forms are we talking about?
Well, one example is the idea of digital consciousness.
Okay.
Could we one day upload our minds into computers and achieve some sort of digital immortality? Or could we even merge with technology in ways that enhance our abilities?
Okay, now you're really making my head spin.
I know, right?
That sounds like a movie.
It does, but the point is, our imaginations have always pushed the limits of what we thought was possible.
Right.
What was once just fantasy often becomes reality if we have enough time and ingenuity.
I guess 100 years ago, the idea of like video chatting with someone across the world would have sounded like magic.
Exactly. So who knows what the future holds?
It is both exciting and a little bit scary.
It
is. Think about all those possibilities.
It all comes back to that power we all have.
Yeah.
Imagination. It's what lets us dream big and challenge the status quo and imagine futures that are different from now.
So it seems like in this deep dive, we've talked about a lot. The neuroscience of imagination, its role in evolution, and even how it could shape the future.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. What's the key takeaway here?
I think the biggest takeaway is that imagination is not just for entertainment or escapism.
Right.
It's a key part of being human.
Yeah.
It drives our creativity and our progress and how we understand reality itself.
And like we said, it's really powerful.
It is.
It can do a lot of good, but also a lot of damage.
So we got to use it wisely.
We do. We each have the responsibility to dream big, but also think critically about what our ideas could lead to.
And remember that blue elephant?
Oh, yeah, with the butterfly wings flying through the candy floss.
Sometimes the craziest ideas are the ones that lead to the biggest breakthroughs.
I love that. To our listener,
yes,
we leave you with this.
Okay.
The future starts in your mind.
Ooh.
How are you going to use your imagination to shape it?